related clips there.
Okay.
Yeah, at the top.
We're live. We're live. What's up, chat? What's up, everybody? We back in the building. Pirate and your boy Jalen Carter, the Canadian. We're here. More politics to discuss. You know, a lot of news. A lot's been going on. What's been on your mind, Pirate?
I mean, I've found it to be a terrific week of news.
I saw that.
Some people are terrified at what's going on, but
Trump's trying to strong arm us, be like, if you don't get your ish together, I'm gonna hit you with this 25%. You know what? I should, if I was prime minister, which you know what, I'm gonna get into politics, become prime minister one day. If I'm prime minister, I'm gonna hit you with that 50% on all the oil you bring in. I'm gonna hit you with a 50% tariff. I'm gonna double it on Trump.
Yeah, I mean, up there in Canada, what you really only need like 300 or 400 votes to get into Parliament, right? So,
right? Yeah,
might as well try, man.
You know what's crazy? Essentially, here to become the prime minister, you have to win the quote unquote Senate. You have to win the most seats, and the leader becomes. You don't directly vote for the prime minister.
No, but it's the leader of whatever party wins the most seats, right?
Exactly. So it's like if technically you win the Senate, you win the presidency. It's kind of like
but
that.
Now, right? Well, but your Senate's a different branch, right?
Yeah. It's obviously not. Yeah, I'm just saying like in.
You don't vote for your senators though, right?
No. We have MPs and MPPs. So MPs are at the federal level. MPPs are at the provincial level. So MPs we do vote for.
But then you also have a Senate that is appointed, right?
I think we have like
you have. I'm pretty sure you have a Senate that's appointed. Like maybe the leading party appoints the Senate. Yeah, I know they don't have the same kind of power that the U.S.
Upper House of Parliament of Canada, together with the Crown of the House of Commons, they compose the bicameral legislature of Canada. I want to say Senate structure, 105 seats.
I know your Senate is not nearly as powerful as our Senate.
Yeah, exactly. It's not. They're not even that relevant.
Much just rubber stamp whatever the Parliament.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Parliament is where decisions get made. Yeah. That's where we have our MP.
Like how many votes? Trudeau Trudeau only got like 3,000 votes or something, right?
Actually, he lost the popular vote, I believe, and it was a what do you call it? It was a minority. Majority. So they actually have to team up with the NDP.
Plurality.
Yeah. So they have to team up with the NDP to, have some power and hold the government and for 6 years. And elections coming up essentially next year.
Man, that looks interesting. I just saw some forecast that had Trudeau getting his ass.
It'll be
like he might only get 30 seats or something.
It'll be a bloodbath for the Liberals for sure. Kind of similar to when he won when they got rid of Stephen Harper, Trudeau came in as the new hot dude, saying all the right things. And it just seems like after you've been prime minister for a while, things get stale. You get the blame for a lot. I still think it's kind of a natural tendency for people to get sick and tired of you. It seems like that because Stephen Harper.
He's been there a while at this point. It's like 14 years or something. He's been there.
I'm just looking at how long Trudeau's actually been
years. What about that? What's his name? Jagmeet
Singh. Yeah, he's the NDP is not that relevant. They're pretty much hated like the Liberals these days too. It's just one of those things.
I know we got a clip of him in there too. We got a few Canadian clips, but. Yeah, Trump's basically saying, "Hey Trudeau, get your ass out of these Taylor Swift concerts."
And I'm like, it's funny. There's a clip of a guy. He's a Canadian that's very, very conservative, where he's making fun of it. Just like Trump goes to UFC fights, and Trudeau goes to Taylor Swift concerts. I'm just like, look, you can hate Trudeau on a lot of things. But I mean, to being a good father, taking your daughter to a Taylor Swift concert is suddenly a bad thing. Like, what are we doing? Come on, attacking for maybe some of his policies. It's like, come on. He's like, oh, only macho men go to you. I'm like, are you 12 years old?
It's place and time, right? I mean, in America, we're kind of swept up in our John Wayne moment here. So I think it's probably just the contrast, of the Taylor Swift. But now, what's your conservative guy's name? Poilievre?
Pierre Poilievre. Yeah.
Poilievre? Yeah.
Baby Trump in some ways, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I saw him on a little Canadian First rant last night.
Exactly. Yeah, so a lot of people are trying to copy Trump. But Trudeau's been in office now since 2015. It's not too long, so not crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, not
really.
crazy.
That's all. Okay, yeah, it felt like longer.
Yeah, it's honestly it did kind
9
of feel
years.
longer too. I thought so too.
9 years, longer than many.
But yeah, technically in Canada, you can be prime minister as long as you want. You just keep winning.
Yeah, you have no term limits at all, right?
No term limit. Hey, if the voters want you, I mean that's another thing. I wonder, would you change that about the Constitution, term limits?
I would. Yeah, because people say that maybe it leads to corruption, but I'm of the mind that if people keep voting for you, then keep going back, And what if you do? You come across the once in a century leader of all ages, puts Julius Caesar to shame, and then you're gonna boot him after 8 years, all right,
exactly. Something you have someone great. It's like,
if you have someone great.
I do firmly
if we didn't have term limits, I think Ronald Reagan would still be president. He would. we would have just been re-electing his corpse over.
That'd be. He definitely would have been president for a while. I think he would have. When did he finish his 8 years? What year?
88.
88.
Yeah, and he was already old. To be fair,
yeah.
If he had started younger,
he would have won in 80. But I think he would have lost to Clinton. When was Clinton?
He would have blown Clinton away.
You think so?
Yeah.
Clinton was,
you remember Clinton? Clinton wouldn't have won if it wasn't for Ross Perot.
I mean, more.
Ross Perot came in 92 and 96, and he got between 15 and 20% of the popular vote both years. Clinton became president. Clinton only got 41% of the vote.
Really? See, people seem to. I even hear conservatives though. Maybe they just hate liberals now, but Bill Clinton seems to be remembered fondly in a lot of ways from a lot of even Republicans.
He's my second best president of my lifetime.
Interesting. Okay.
And I'm a pretty hard conservative.
Yeah, I was gonna say so I guess he definitely rode the middle.
I got Reagan 1, Clinton 2.
Oh yeah, I probably got Reagan 8th. He's definitely down the barrel for me. Well, I'm definitely one of those. I'm definitely one of those progressives who think Reagan was probably the biggest cause for the housing crisis. That's a conversation we could have. I think Obama would have. He'd still be president if
Obama might still be president. Obama really did start to lose favor in that second term, though.
He did. I just think to me, he might have been. Yeah, I think firmly he's been the best politician over the past. He's ran the best campaigns. He knows how to run. Okay. You know what I mean? Yeah, he knows how to do that part.
He's a good speaker. As far as actual effective legislation, I feel like he was.
That's a different discussion. Yeah, I think
he's probably lower down on the list than probably most with that. He really didn't get a lot done.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of
people came out after his terms and were like, Obama just he doesn't really communicate with the House and the Senate.
Yeah, I think could have maybe done a better job of trying to get people to work together. But I will say, I do think he faced some of the strongest opposition ever at time. There was after Obamacare passed, there was literally, I remember reading this before, I think in 2010 or even after Obama won the election, 2009-10, getting ready for the midterm, Republicans were like, all right, we need to figure out a game plan to really stop everything he does, make sure we win. And that's when, after they won 2010, this is also, I don't know both sides gerrymander, but if you look at history, the gerrymandering that happened after the Republicans won the House in 2010 was insane for that next while. If you look at a story, they're like, okay, they took it to a level that, and it was talked about, they really made that a focus. Again, you're playing politics, so I think it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
You win the House, you can do that, but it was just taken to a level that I don't think people have seen.
Yeah, there was definitely there was pretty strong gridlock for 6 out of his 8 years.
And
his first 2 years he had free reign.
That's what I'm saying.
His first 2 years, he had total free reign. He didn't really get a ton done in the first 2 years.
I was of that too. Yeah, the first 2 years, you should have pushed everything.
Yeah, no, and he really, I mean, it's kind of understandable because he was a young guy, you know, and he was really, I think he was only a one-term senator before he got elected.
Term? Oh, damn.
Yeah, I think he only had one term in the Senate.
Yeah, he really did catch lightning in the bottle in that sense where he didn't, because a lot of times, you know, politics, you're supposed to wait your turn. Right? Yeah. Before Obama's and Trump's kind of came in and just took over, like, both Clintons had to wait their turn. John Kerry wait their turn. Mitt Romney had to wait until, like, all these established, quote unquote, established people have to wait their turn. There's a kind of a succession line of people who.
And I have always preferred. I've always preferred a governor. Like Clinton was a governor, Reagan was a governor. You know, I think being in that executive role kind of primes you for the presidency better than the guys who come out of the Senate and Congress.
I hear you. I do think with Obama and even in a lot of ways Trump too, I think it's harder for both parties to get a lot done because I think there's so many different fragments within the party now. Like with the left, you have the more traditional, quote unquote, as Sec like to say, I like to say the establishment, the what do you call it, the class of Democrats that take all the money from big corporations versus
Chilltown in the chat.
Chilltown in the chat. What's up,
Jalen? Drop the link just in case anyone wants to hop up here. Chill, you're definitely invited. Anyone else, if you hear a topic of interest. Yeah, but sorry to cut you off. I just saw Chill was in there.
Put it to him. Yeah, you know, I'm gonna send this to Fluent too. I totally forgot. Let me just send it to you if he's available.
But more. The more Canadians, the better, I suppose.
Yeah, get some grown folks out here. People really know their stuff, 100%.
But yeah, I think the tariffs. Someone in chat. Oh, that's Chill mentioning the tariffs. Yeah, I think that should probably be our main topic of the night there.
I mean, so the idea, I guess, the whole premise of Trump bringing these tariffs is he wants to see more America-produced goods sell versus foreign imported goods, which is supposed to create more jobs, increase business for American companies.
Yeah,
sounds great.
No,
but in no universe, let me say this again, in no universe will you.
No, we're going to disagree on this. I can tell. Yeah, go on.
In no universe will you see the prices of, let's just say, of some product in Walmart that's brought from China, even if you tax it at 25%. That Chinese product is still going to be noticeably cheaper. And at a time when people are struggling, buying groceries, their pay isn't going up with inflation. At the end of the day, as much as I'd love to, or I think, these families would love to support America-owned businesses, at the end of the day, if you have to choose between supporting American businesses or feeding your kids or trying to buy them Christmas presents at a budget, you're going to choose that, right? That's just the fact of the situation.
Okay. Well, I have to slightly agree with you and then massively disagree with you. Okay. So, because I am sworn to honor and truth, it's absolutely true. And you see, it's the one note that all the critics are running around saying: tariffs raise prices, increase inflation, and inflation is the number one issue. So tariffs are bad. That's kind of like the Cliff Notes version, right? Fair enough. Cliff Notes version of all the criticism you see of tariffs. And so I'll agree that in no way does a tariff ever, the immediate effect of a tariff is never to lower prices or inflation. It will, it's always going to be adding to prices, adding to inflation in the absolute sense.
Gotcha.
But what people don't get into when you get into the weeds is that, yes, it is an absolute addition to prices and inflation, but that addition can be minuscule. That addition might be like 0.1, 0.2, and the tariffs are multi-pronged. It's not one thing that they try to achieve. Yes, it does try to achieve bringing back industry and manufacturing locally. It also tries to achieve raising revenue for the central government. It also the way Trump specifically is employing them is kind of in this punitive way, right? He's like, hey, you little country, there's something I want out of you. Do this thing that I ask of you, or we'll get a hit with tariffs. I did actually put together a couple of charts as far as the tariffs things. If you want to, or if you can pull up.
Let me pull up some of these charts.
One of those charts, because I think a visual will help illustrate it for a lot of people who don't quite understand how absolutely nuanced this issue is, and it's not as cut and dry as tariffs raise prices, therefore tariffs bad. It's and this is actually something that I've been a big fan of and proponent of for like decades. I feel like mercantilism, which kind of the form of trade that came before this whole free trade movement. I feel like we threw a lot of it out wholesale without realizing there are a lot of second and third layer advantages that you get from mercantilism that may not be as obvious. So I mean, yeah, look at this chart right here. So if we're talking trade wars, who do you think's going to win this fucking trade war? All right, based on the chart. Let's look at that top bar graph. Is the total GDP is the green of each nation, and the red on the end is the import export back and forth between America. So between America and Mexico, between America and Canada.
It's also what is being exported, imported.
Yeah, so you can see down on that bottom, the pie chart there.
Okay.
So that the green area is going to be the nation's GDP minus exports either to or from America. So you can see Canada, I think it's about 25% each for Canada and Mexico, right?
Yep.
Their exports to America equate to 25% of their GDP. Now look at America. And that segment in America is for both Canada and Mexico combined. I think it's about 2.5%.
America imports a lot of different things from
2.5%, right? Yeah. So now, I'm not trying to rub it in your face being a Canadian or anything, but I mean, let's just face facts. Canada and Mexico economically are wholly dependent on imports into America. I mean, just imagine if all trade dissolved between these three countries, the effect that it would have on Canada and Mexico would be in that red area of the pie chart. Would absolutely devastating.
Is Canada the number one exporter of oil to America? So America imports most of its oil from Canada.
I think it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, but America is the number one oil producer in the world.
No, 100%. Yeah.
So basically, whenever you talk war, I think it's always just jump to the total war scenario and imagine what the total war scenario would look like. Yeah. So, I mean, if it were total war, what America loses in imports from Canada and Mexico are minuscule compared to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
the economic dependency.
Yeah, I don't think they're ever going to stop between, Canada, America, and Mexico. One, I just think the imports, exports of the products. The reason why, I guess you could say Canada and Mexico do a lot with the U.S. It's just easier when you're in the same continent and you're right beside each other. With America, right? Let's say if Canada and America decide to stop trading with each other, and the USA just wants to import the lumber, the oil from another country that they do from Canada, the increase in cost is so substantial just because we're just simply crossing a border. Like we're crossing a wall that's right there versus getting it from any other country. The cost just goes so high, and I think that impact is just too great for America to ever seriously, just stop trading with.
Yeah, but I mean, the deal is, I mean, it's beneficial for both parties, right? Okay, so, and that's why we trade with each other. But when we talk about the kind of punitive way that Trump is enacting the tariffs, where he's basically, look, he's going to Mexico and he's saying, hey, for whatever reason, we haven't really been dealing with this immigration thing, right? But now we are.
What do you say about Canada, though? Because people from Canada aren't really trying to sneak. There's more people from America trying to come to Canada. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, I don't think people from Canada are really trying to sneak.
I agree. Yeah, I don't think there's a ton of immigrants coming across from Canada.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's some, maybe there's some, even if there was a drug trade, fentanyl, whatever is going across the border. I just don't see it being as something substantial with the Canadian side, at least.
Yeah. I think it's much more applicable to Mexico. I'm not quite sure why Canada got tossed in the same boat as Mexico.
Maybe like Trudeau. Maybe
right off the bat.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like a warning shot across the bow or something. But I mean, basically, it's like Trump is like, he's putting his nuts on the table. he's saying, hey, Mexico, we haven't been dealing with this border thing. Now we are. You're the country where they all come through, so you're going to help us do this. And if you don't, we got these tariffs for you. Now, the Mexican president, of course, is going to play her own politics and say that, well, if you put tariffs on us, we're going to put tariffs on you. But again, like in the grand scheme, the trade war is like America holds most all the cards in that situation.
I hear that. No, for sure. They hold all the cards in most trade wars, except maybe with China, right? That maybe.
Well, even with China, I had that other chart has some Chinese information, but. Yeah, and this is the thing with tariffs. Like, tariffs are completely unique for whatever two countries you're talking about, whatever two goods you're talking about. But the fact is, if you're just gonna drop in a textbook, like, what country are tariffs the most reasonable and sensible for? It's going to be a country like America that has a huge, primarily domestic economy.
Yeah,
that can absorb, taxing imports. Because the fact is, like, it's a pretty small percentage of products that are bought in America that are imported. It's like 15%.
Really, in all America, all in kind of every consumer product.
Yeah,
really?
Yeah. As far as like every dollar that's spent in America, 15 cents goes to imported products, 85 cents goes to domestic products. Damn, so America really is in a position.
That seems very low.
It is low, and because America is a very productive country. America is a very big country. We have the third biggest population in the world, behind China and India.
Hey, Alan, I know Ox looking a little more handsome. I hear you, man. Ox looking a little more handsome today. Ain't nothing wrong with that, baby. That's interesting. I mean, I don't. From most of the clothes in America is imported from other countries, right? That clothes people buy, shoes people buy, food people buy.
Not much. I mean, I haven't looked specifically into clothing, but as a total. And obviously a t-shirt, we're talking like $5 or $10 as opposed to, thousands of dollars spent on other things. But
do they include like homes? I guess if you're spending like $800,000 on a home, is that classified as American buy? Even if
no, because a home isn't a good. That's not good.
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
goods and services.
So let's say like clothes, shoes.
Yeah,
definitely. I think.
But these are all replicable. These are all replicable.
That's true.
And they might be replicable for a little bit more, either a few pennies or a few dollars or a couple dollars. But the fact is, the imports only make up 15% of the economy. So, even if you put 100% tariff on everything that was imported into America, that's not that's not something that's just gonna like completely rehaul the entire economy.
I think it does definitely affect a lot of kind of big box stores, the Walmarts of the world.
Yes and no, though. It depends. It depends on how you frame it, because some people would frame it, especially the people who, they have a vested interest in kind of smearing tariffs. They'll say, well, if you raise the price of a $1 orange from Mexico to $2, that means the consumer is going to be spending twice as much. Where that's not the case, because they don't have to. There's still other choices, Maybe so instead of buying the $1 orange, and they won't spend $2 on the new orange, they'll spend $1.15 on the alternate.
That's an option. Yeah, I hear you. So it's only 15%.
Yeah, it's like think about it this way. Imagine if Trump comes out and he says, "Hey, Italy, we're going to put a 200% tariff on Ferraris." So now Ferraris, instead of costing $500,000, they cost $1.5 million, right? That doesn't mean that the exact same number of people are going to now spend $1.5 million on that Ferrari. They're going to go and buy a Porsche or
That's true. Even though, for a certain demographic of Ferrari buyers, not going to matter. But to a good amount, it definitely could. Yeah, there'll definitely some people who's like, it's not going to affect their life. No, for sure. If the tax was that high, we actually did get a supercar. Like first it was a luxury car tax. I believe now it's even like a supercar tax, where like the Ferrari, Lambos, there's an extra tax implied to that.
Canada.
Yeah, in Canada. Yeah, they added that recently. But again, people, it's nothing crazy. I think maybe on a $800,000 Lamborghini, you might have to pay. It's like a $50,000, like almost like a luxury tax fee, not even tax, like a fee.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Right? But again, you're buying $800,000 car, an extra $50,000 probably isn't going to affect you, and you're still okay with that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so the money from the tariffs does the cost of a tariff, does it filter down to the consumer? Yes, but in the end, that money goes to our federal government. And as opposed to just a blanket taxation of all the citizens of America, hey, man, I'll take an extra like $20,000 from the guy who bought the Ferrari.
I was going to say,
you know what I'm saying?
That's a tariff and tax that'll be, I think, very well appreciated and accepted. Like if you say a luxury, even like a land transfer tax, I think some states have. I know we just recently got it where if it's not your primary home, you sell it for profit, you have to pay a little extra more. If you added a tax to homes all over, let's say $2 million, 90% of voters aren't going to care. They'll be like, great. If you add a tax to, again, Ferrari, Lamborghinis, 90% of voters will think it's great, right?
Yeah.
It's the winning issue. So, that might be something. These guys.
So I think a lot of the people who are talking mad shit about tariffs right now, which is definitely, it's kind of the hip thing to do, at least over the last week or two, especially on like CNN or MSNBC, they're just talking about how it's going to drive us bankrupt. I know that it won't. And I'm really excited because, again, it's targeted tariffs are something I am a fan of. We didn't even have the income tax until 1913.
Yeah, I read that somewhere this week. Maybe popped to my Twitter, but it was a whole different system back in the day.
People think that the way it is now, that's the way it's always been. It's not. We've only had income tax for 100 years. Before that, most all of the federal revenue was through tariffs. And I think a big reason why they've been suppressed is kind of the draining of the swamp thing, because the people who really make out with the whole NAFTA ultimate free trade situation are going to be the few CEOs and heads of corporations that are able to, game the system, produce something real cheap in China or some other country, sell it to Americans. It's not really the American population.
That is interesting, the idea of if you're eliminating income tax altogether, but obviously with tariffs that, or simply solely rely on tariffs. Wonder how the math will work on that. Again, something you'd have to really look into, try to do.
I don't think we could eliminate them altogether, but I think we could lower them.
So if it's just a 10% flat rate for everyone, but tariffs are wrong. But I feel like again, this could be wrong, right? We're just throwing ideas here. I feel like the middle and lower class might feel the burden of that more if it was a 10%. If let's just say it's a 10% flash rate for everyone, regardless of your income, and then the tariffs try to make up for that missing tax revenue that they would have lost.
Well, maybe on day one.
Short term for sure. Short term, they will.
Maybe on day one. Yeah. But again, you may also very well spur a situation to where we are manufacturing more. There are more jobs for Americans, and the American workers are getting paid more.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you do get rid, let's just say they got rid of full income tax, technically you'd have about a good 30, 40, some people 50% more income to spend. So if something jumps up by, 10, 20, 30%, right? Yeah, you could still technically be saving money. But again, there's a lot of numbers to divulge into really make that sense. But it'll be interesting to see, and again, I think trying to implement or lowering the tax rate and introducing a tariff, it's a long process for that to happen. Yeah. Like with the Senate, it's a long process. And then to really see the effects, again, I think if he does do that, it's probably suicide for the midterms. I think you will definitely, because I think the impact of that, you'll just see prices rise right away.
But now, Jalen, remember he imposed tariffs his first term, and we did not have an inflation problem.
How big were the tariffs?
They're very big. I mean, we were making $500 billion, $400 billion in tariffs.
Interesting.
Yeah, and inflation was not a problem. This is what I'm. Again, man, you gotta. You always got to question the messenger. Me, I'm a person who's already like 100% skeptical of everything that comes out of the Democratic Party. I mean, did you see my fucking hometown here? Oakland is going bankrupt.
Oh, they're going bankrupt?
We are going bankrupt.
What happens when a city or state goes bankrupt? I mean, obviously, it just doesn't shut down. It's just you borrow money from the Federal Reserve. Another state.
I'm not exactly how it all works. I mean, I know it's not good. I know that you have to end up cutting. I know you have to end up cutting a ton of services, and you got to come up with some money somewhere. But
yeah, you have to increase you definitely have to increase your revenue streams in some way, shape, or form. Yeah, it's not like they just shut down overnight, right? And the city just closes.
Yeah, everybody get out. It's not 30-day notice for everybody.
It's not that type of bankruptcy, luckily, right?
Yeah.
No, I hear you though. Yeah, they got to figure out the situation. Again, that's just a very state to state, city by city. I hear cities going bankrupt all the time. Like you hear about that, but it just seems like
not all the time though.
Not all the time, but I've seen it like multiple times before.
I think Detroit did. I think Detroit went.
I think a lot of cities went quote unquote bankrupt during that time, right? During the housing crisis, for sure. That was the time. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how these tariffs situation works out. What about World War III? What are you thinking? World War III coming along? Is America funding both sides? Is the military-industrial complex the only winner in that situation? Which, of course, they are. What are you thinking?
Well, I was actually a couple of nights ago. I was wondering. I had an idea for a novel that maybe World War III wasn't that bad. That'll be the title. World War III wasn't that bad. It's like we hate to say it, but it's like, Russia sends some missiles. They blow up our coastlines, right? So they'll blow up the West Coast and the East Coast. We'll go send some bombs over them, blow up all the Russians, and then we'll wake up and it'll be like, hate to say it, but man, in one fell swoop, you got rid of all the commies and all the hippies all at once. Yeah, it didn't quite have the balls to do it ourselves, but man, if you're gonna do it for us, no. Obviously. You think as far as like Ukraine sparking it all?
I'm still not a believer in World War III actually happening. I just think.
Yeah, I think there's not a lot to gain.
Yeah, exactly. Like everyone's just gonna shoot nukes at each other, and then what?
Yeah.
Right. The elite go to their bunkers, or the very rich go to their bunkers. The rest of the world burns to hell. And then you come outside, you're like, okay, everyone else is dead. It's just us. Who's going to be the hard labor?
No, what I'm kind of envisioning is I think Trump, once he becomes president, and Putin will wrap up the war in some ways that some people don't like. I think I think Ukraine's going to have to give up some land when it's all said.
Okay, yep.
I think Ukraine's going to have to give up some land. And
what do you think about Israel and Palestine?
Yeah, I mean they just sign a ceasefire.
It's basically just a ceasefire until Biden's presidency is over.
Yeah,
go back. But I think Biden just gave Israel a ton of money, so it'll be interesting to see. I think Trump will do the same, and I think a lot of his voters, some of them will be upset because a lot of people are very just America stop sending hundreds of $millions to these other countries for weapons.
No, I'm down with that too. Yeah, I mean, as far as the war and foreign affairs, I'm pretty big on the whole isolationist type of deal. I feel like, man, we got these perfect. We got the Pacific Ocean on one side and the Atlantic Ocean on another side. Hey, man, we don't need to be involved in like much of any of this stuff. I feel like the Israel thing's a perfect example of, man, we're the superpower of the world. I hate to see conflict all around the world, but at the same time,
I never understood the power Israel has.
I don't want to get sucked into some. It's not a lot of people, there's like 9 million people in Israel and like 5 million Palestinians.
Yeah, the land isn't that valuable, so like it's not some like oil play or anything, right? I don't get why America's so. Yeah, but a lot of West are so intrigued with.
Well, strategically, Israel. It's the Suez Canal.
Yeah, so I see that too. But it just seems like the resources they spend on Israel doesn't equate to the like kind of the good you can get rewarded with, right? It just doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, a conflict between 15 million total people on the other side of the world, out in the middle of a desert. Yeah. It's like, again, like I have compassion. God bless you. I hope y'all can, solve it in a peaceful way and learn to live together.
I hope, Israel and Palestine both can coexist and be
at the same time. Yeah, I'm not looking to like ramp up some war against Iran because of some shit that's going on between Israelis and Palestinians. I mean, that's like, it's a complicated, and the whole, the world police, flying into every country to save the country, spread democracy, all that.
I mean, the intention is right. It just doesn't work. And we've seen it. Like, look, sure. Yeah. If there's a genocide happen in a country, I think it is somewhat our duty to try to stop it. Maybe not troops on the ground, but to raise awareness. You see some child being killed or raped or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it is our job to stop atrocities from happening or trying to. It's just to what extent.
To what extent exactly? Because again, there's 8 billion people on Earth, and we're 350 Americans. Or 350 million Americans out of 8 billion people, and the world has a long history of fighting each other and going into wars and conflicts and people killing each other. And
I think America did a lot more before the incident in was it Somalia?
Yeah,
when, the American body was dragged on the streets, and that was kind of like the visual picture. Remember the movie Black Hawk Down? I think was that in Somalia? Because I remember after that, in with the Rwanda situation, No, but Rwanda's when they refused to go in because of the incident that happened in Somalia.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. They really kind of changed. Before that, America was we're going in right away with troops. Let's get democracy in there, try to change it.
Yeah, and all this stuff's messy, man. And like I kind of hope that like the Vietnam you could kind of rationalize because that was dead in the middle of the Cold War, where when you looked at a world map, like actually half the world was communist under an Iron Curtain that was spreading across the world. So you could kind of understand, even though, but this stuff is not, especially with the whole troops on the ground, even we're a super powerful military, but it's hard to actually deploy people into these places.
One is so expensive and so hard. Like you can go in and try to help, try to set up a government. But at the end of the day, it's up to the people of that country to continue. I mean, you saw what happened in Afghanistan.
Look at Iraq. Look at Iraq after 20 years. You know,
look, I think Afghanistan is the perfect thing. You guys were there, and you got them a government. You try to help them build a military, and it all collapsed within.
And then you're also dealing with parts of the world that really don't have any history of representative government. It's super hard to just like create out of,
look,
from the ground up.
100%
cultures, different cultures.
Exactly, the cultures, how that culture works, how people grew up in Richmond. Like, do I think it'd be cool in Afghanistan if they had a House, Senate, and presidency and it worked like America? Yeah, I think it'd be beneficial, but clearly, it didn't work.
Didn't even come close.
They didn't come close.
Didn't even come close after all that money, all that time, all those lives. So maybe the best pattern is, do like before the first half of the 20th century, we kept to ourselves, and then you wait for the rest of the world to explode into a world war. They inevitably will. But then at least then we'll know that when that big war comes, we will be strong enough and not spread out. It's like, all right, fine, we'll dive into the world war again and try to save the good guys again. But this little piecemealing, like constantly all over the globe, it's so expensive.
I was looking at what America spent in Afghanistan war, $2.3 trillion. Over the course of essentially, over the course of 20 years, was it 20 years essentially? No, a little less, right? 15, 16?
Yeah, I'll say 15. So,
15. Shoot, I mean, let's say about 100. I understood why they went in there first because 9/11 things happen. Why I went there first, but it came out even like the past 7-8 years. Let's say so you would have saved $1 trillion. That $1 trillion would have fixed most infrastructure, hospitals, like the money for the $1 trillion, the things you could have done in America.
Well, it would have gone a long way. Yeah, and all these things compound, right? So it's like if we're spending all the money on the military, combined with the super lax free trade that we've been running off of for 25 years, where we're sending American dollars out of the country, and we're going into debt. The debt's gotten crazy, and maybe it didn't matter as much when it was 5 trillion or 10 trillion in debt. Now it's 35 trillion.
I don't see that ever being paid off. I don't get how you come out of $35 trillion in debt.
Well, it's getting to the point you could put together a solid.
Who owns the debt?
Everybody around the world who's bought any treasury bonds.
Treasury bonds.
Yeah. So it's the treasury bonds go on the open market. People buy them.
What
they pay them back the price.
What happened if they just defaulted on the loan?
Well, then we wouldn't be able to sell any more treasury bonds. Our credit rating would go down to.
Yeah. Well, would you be able to start from zero?
And actually, if we defaulted, we wouldn't be able to sell any treasury bonds, and we probably would not be the reserve currency of the world.
But you would get to start from zero again instead of negative 38 trillion. I'm just saying, baby. I'm just saying, in some ways.
Well, honestly, Jalen, it does get to the point. There is the one ultra quick way to solve debt, which the government doesn't tell you because they're doing a robbing Peter to pay Paul thing. But it is inflation, to where a central government like ours, they tell you out of one side of your mouth, we hate inflation. We're going to do everything to stop inflation. On the other side of their head, they know that inflation is one of the key things that can minimize debt. If you owe 35 trillion, but then you devalue the dollar by 50%, by 60%, that effectively lowers your debt by 50%, 60%.
You owe 17.
It's not a situation you want to go into because,
I hear you.
In the end, it's very damaging. But but we might be reaching a point where
when's the last time the American budget was not in a deficit? When you did an operating.
Well, the last time we didn't add
to the debt.
It was Clinton during Clinton, like 96, 97.
That was the last year where you didn't spend.
Yeah, surplus.
More.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it really wasn't Clinton. It was the Senate and the Congress, because he gets a lot of credit, but that was do you remember the Contract for America?
I don't know.
Might have been, yeah, probably a little before you were born. But like Newt Gingrich, you know Newt Gingrich.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he came in and it was a Republican House, and they came out with the whole contract with America to balance the budget, and they did. And for 2 years we had a surplus, and that was the last 2 years. And then 9/11 came.
Yeah,
George Bush came. 9/11. As soon as 9/11 came, everything started skyrocketing again.
Makes sense. Yeah, after you're just going to, like I said, invading so many countries, it's going to cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's tough. Well, hopefully they can bring that back down. Didn't Biden just end a war recently, or they just thought, was it with Hezbollah or something?
End a whole on war? I don't know, those the Houthi rebels.
Something like that. Is that what you're talking about? I just saw on Twitter. It's funny. The news came out and it was Trump already in work. I'm like, wait, isn't Biden the president still? They're just debating who gets the credit for stopping the situation.
I think they're probably just talking about the ceasefire with the Hezbollah and the Israel, right? That's the only thing I could imagine they'd be talking
between
about.
Israel and Hezbollah. Yeah, Israel and Hezbollah takes effect in Lebanon. Yeah, that one.
Yeah,
that's what's talking about.
I think they signed a ceasefire, but
Yeah, hey, a little positive. It seems like it's in the right positive direction. Can't complain about that.
Why is it acceptable to let a fascist colonial project continue, Mr. T? You'll have to elaborate. Those are strong words, my man.
You don't want to hear fascist colonial, very strong words. I think I see maybe where he's coming from, but yeah, elaborate on that, Mr. T. Feel free to come up. You can elaborate on it.
Yeah. Anyway, maybe drop the link again. See if anybody wants to come up, has an idea. But like I said, as far as the whole colonial deal, again, I am more of a isolationist at heart. I believe in George Washington was the guy who said, never have any perpetual allies or eternal enemies. And I believe in that, not really long-term friendships or enemies, man. America first, man. Everything should be fairly pragmatic, fairly temporary. Even like with Europe, man, I'm sorry, like our relations with Europe at this point are kind of pissing me off.
That's what Israel is. Colonial. Hey, that's true. I mean, some people say Israel was simply.
Some people say that. I feel like it's a very complicated thing.
I think this interview back in the day where one of the Rothschilds fully says, "Yeah, we created Israel." He's openly.
Yeah, I mean, here's. First, I think it's a very complicated. Anybody who thinks it isn't complicated and thinks that there's like a quick answer on either side, I think you just need to read up on it more, because there's definitely a case to be made. Like, hey man, they were part of the Ottoman Empire. The Ottoman Empire got their asses kicked in World War I. So Ottoman Empire gets destroyed. That land gets, whether you like it or not, to the victor go the spoils. The Ottoman Empire is destroyed, and so they give that land to the settlements of the Jews who had been settling there for the previous 50 years. They set up a country. They have 3 massive wars between Israel and basically the rest of the Middle East, and and three major wars. The Palestinians side with the rest of the Middle East all three times, and they get beat all 3 times.
Middle East, you gotta get. How do y'all lose to Israel that many times? Especially like the amount of people. Like, come on, like if you're gonna win a war, just gotta go and do what you gotta do.
Yeah, you got them surrounded from all sides.
That's what I'm saying. Obviously, Israel has help from other Western superpowers, which clearly help. That tends to happen some of these times. But even
you have some help, but at the same, then you look at it and it's like, all right, over the course of the last 80 years, you got the Palestinians just in perpetual refugee status. It's unheard of. They're the only people on Earth who have this perpetual refugee status. Everyone else, if you become a refugee, the deal is, all right, you're a refugee. Some shit went bad where you were living. Now you're going to get some support and aid, and you go off to some other part of the world and get your life started.
Have you seen Iran before the Islamic Revolution? Every time I see those images and lifestyle, it is amazing. Like, they look like such a beautiful, everything was accepted. Women seemed happy, men very advanced.
Yeah, in the 60s and 70s, Iran was as far as like Middle Eastern standards, pretty liberal, kind of flourishing. Even if you look at Afghanistan before the Soviet invasion and the Taliban in the 80s, if you look at Afghanistan back in the 70s and 60s, it was much more beautiful. Like, there were nice statues and gardens.
Yeah, and they were still predominantly Muslim-based countries. With no radicals, I guess.
Not as theocratic. Not nearly as radically.
What a shame. What a shame. Yeah. Two beautiful countries. It seemed like, again, like it seemed the clothes they were wearing, it's so different. I was like, wow, I didn't know this before. And images of Iran before the Islamic Revolution. It literally it looks like California in the 70s. You know,
and like you said, with the kind of the culture and the style. Like if you look at I've read some different things with it's like, because now we just kind of imagine Middle Eastern women in the black.
Yeah, it's all
from head to toe, and it's just
that's not the case. They're wearing like
Ralph Lauren. But if you look before, they had like real ornate, and they could show their face, and like kind of a unique style that really kind of represented the country much more than just a black hijab. But
bro, it literally, sometimes I see the outfits and the images, it just really reminds me of like a Ralph Lauren commercial. You know what I mean? Some of the outfits, those cool. It's like very pretty dresses, the guys in like these very tailored suits, and like you could wear shorter skirts, sleeves, whatever. You don't have to
right. And like, kind of nice little metropolitan areas with fountains and cars and
100%. Nice to see. What are you gonna do? Hopefully it goes back to that one day, but that can be a journey.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, the whole Islamic thing is the pendulum swings everywhere, right? I'm a pretty firm believer. Like in every country, every society, it kind of swings from conservative to liberal to conservative to liberal. But man, that Islamic pendulum, that swings to some crazy conservative.
That's the Islamic Revolution is similar to, like, in America, you have like the Westboro Baptist Church. Remember those people? That's like, no matter how right wing some of these people may be, I don't even think the most right wing individuals in America will ever be that.
Exactly. That's what I'm like. Yeah, like in the Middle East, their conservatism is like the top 1% of religious extremists in America, but spread amongst like 75% of the population.
Exactly. Yeah, well, definitely a problem. Except countries like Dubai, Saudi Arabia definitely seem to be moving forward. It's interesting. Their leadership still are more traditional, but they're very open to being more open, I guess. Even though they have their belief, they're just more open to being more open, or they just understand the value of tourism and being a place that other people want to visit. Maybe they really enjoy that. Because it seems like Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, very religious nations, but really understand the importance of being a country that other people want to live in. You know how many people have moved to Dubai? There's so many people in West Country who have moved to Dubai recently.
If you have money, right? I mean,
that's what I'm saying. If you're making, you got to be
serious money to live in Dubai.
Don't even think about moving to Dubai unless you're making at least like $400,000 or $500,000 a year.
I do really wonder about the Middle East as far as like the next 50 or 100 years, because so much of their wealth is directly tied to the oil.
How that, basically they were hoping that.
Are they going to be able to diversify? And obviously, they don't have a lot of arable land as far as percentage wise. So the ability to diversify away from the oil, like when the oil, because the oil's, it seems to me it's obvious that oil is going to be in the grand history of human, history, like the era of oil is not going to be crazy long because
they're basically banking on all the billions and essentially $1 trillion that they've made from oil. The investment that they've done with that money, they're banking on that to kind of sustain the country once the oil is gone. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. You'd have to look at again, a lot of different countries within the Middle East have different strategies of how they put that money to use.
Yeah,
which some countries I think have clearly done really well with some of their tech investments. Some of the investments, right?
But then how is that gonna mesh with because the Islamic culture and kind of like the extreme conservatism that we're talking about, that has a much longer history than the economic effects of the oil, right? So
and the thing with
when the oil runs out, what will
and even with some of the other investments, like I know like sometimes they use their money, they bought a lot of Apple stock, Facebook stock, whatever, and they've done really well, but it's not reoccurring paper money like the oil, so it's very different. Right? You can have a great year, 2 years, whatever it is, but the oil money is different.
Exactly, and like you can have wealth and you can invest the wealth, but like if your nation as a whole doesn't have the ability to grow enough crops and build enough buildings and set up infrastructure and all that stuff, and you just have the money from the oil, seems like. And again, this isn't like an overnight thing, but of course 40 years, 80 years.
No, without a doubt. Definitely something that, again, they do have time, but it'll be interesting to see, like you said, in 20, 30 years.
Especially if like during the wealth, like their populations get to some really high levels and then they're not able to
different kind of money though. I tell you, people, if you still think Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, these guys have more money than the oil dudes in these countries, you're severely mistaken. I promise you, these dudes have much, especially liquid cash, not even close. It's not even.
Well, I was just thinking about that the other night, just how like what they say Elon's the richest guy, right? But like, is he? Is Elon the richest guy? Like, does he have the most resources at his disposal?
No, absolutely.
Or is it
absolutely?
Like the prince of Saudi Arabia?
Yeah. So there are families that will literally pay companies like Forbes, people in there, to not publish them. That's one. So there's families out there who make billions and billions of dollars doing like the simplest things that you wouldn't even think of would generate that. You know what I mean? Like it's nothing like fancy or anything, but there's a family that owns a little bit of everything, whether it's manufacturing of steel, this and that, whatever. They just own so much of everything, a little bit of everything, that it adds up to that, and it's a lot of money. And two, again, the princes of some of these states that produce oil.
The princes are what I'm really thinking of. Yeah. Like royal families.
One, that they don't need to publish their actual net worth of the actual money that they make. Yeah, they without a doubt. And I think Elon knows this. Like, he's not an idiot. He 100% knows this too. And why do you think a lot of these times when these tech billionaires, whatever, are raising money for new investments in that, the Middle East money coming in is one of the first investments that they always reach out to, because the amount of cash that they have is just, I don't think people really don't understand the amount of cash they have versus even a Bill Gates or Warren Buffett. Like Warren Buffett or his company has several $100 billion in cash, and that's still a drop.
Well, that's the thing, because I mean, Elon is super paper rich, right? Yeah. Like on paper, but it's almost all tied up in
Bezos too,
equity in companies. Like he doesn't just have 300 billion at his disposal.
No, without, even when he bought Twitter for 50-something billion, I think he only put up.
He only put up like 10%, right?
Maybe, exactly. Yeah, and everything else would be loans or investors. 100%. You don't ever pull out that much money of yourself, except again. But one of the Middle East countries has a $500 billion investment fund. Other people understand how big that is of their money, not about like their money that they're just investing in companies. 500 billion, $500 billion. And that's an absurd amount of money. But yeah, that's look, millions will be interesting to see. Anything else want to hit up before we wrap things up? I do have to head out a couple minutes.
I think that was a pretty good one. Touched on most all. Good luck to you, sir, in this upcoming trade war. Again, I'm not quite sure why you got tossed in with Mexico, but
we actually did get just a tax break from Trudeau for, I think, for the next couple months, GST, HST on certain products and goods.
Yeah,
like I think some food items, just like the necessity items, they're taking away the tax for a couple months on stores when we're shopping. So that's always nice. We'll save 15% every time.
Yeah, well, I was listening to your the conservative guy, Poilievre.
Yeah, Pierre Poilievre. Yeah,
Poilievre. Yeah. I didn't realize you had as many illegal immigrants as you do. I knew you had some, but
I never knew. It's so.
He wanted to deport like 4.5 million. I think.
No, what it is, we have people here on temporary visas, like a lot of student visas. And then they try to apply for residency after, things of that nature. So it's not like people are crossing over from Mexico. It's people came from like India on student visas, some illegal student visas or fake universities that people would just make here, charge them money. They would come here, try to work, and then get permanent residency.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it's not like illegal immigrants, like the way he's saying it, like Mexicans crossing the border or people in America. Like,
no, yours are probably much more highly educated on average.
Yeah, on average, sure, but a lot of them come here to get educated, but some of them just don't leave once they're done being educated too. Right. Yeah, so it's a different type of situation here that we have than America, of people, instead of people just crossing over. A lot of these people, they have to pay like 40-50 grand just to come over here. Like, it's not just like a cross the board, you know what I mean? Like, it's very expensive. They have to go through this process, and then like there was just a scheme here the other day where a lot of these foreign students who came in have to work. They're allowed to work for a certain amount of hours. They're paying these job agencies like $10K to get jobs at Canadian Tire, to more like these Canadian establishments. But then these establishments also get government rebate money for hiring international students. So people say Canadians get screwed. People who are born here, Canadians, get screwed.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's no matter what anyone says. Like when you start bringing people into your country, it's going to affect two main things. It's going to affect the cost of housing and supply of housing.
We have,
and it's going to affect wages. It's just impossible not to affect those two things.
The housing crisis is probably the big thing. We're trying to buy a house in the prominent city now. It's like you and your spouse need to have high-level corporate jobs. Essentially, it's like, I guess in American terms, you and your spouse both have to work at Goldman Sachs. We're working at Chase Bank, not going to cut it. You know what I mean? It's like that. Like, you both need.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're bringing in more people, and so now you got, because I mean, even illegal immigrants, they're still living somewhere. They're renting an apartment. They're taking up some of the
hotel
housing supply that your country has. So.
I think again, world leaders have to realize immigration is fine, just at what level and what speed, right?
Yeah,
you want people to come for sure, especially as much as I think it's important. Obviously, if there's a country at war, people are escaping and need to stay for a bit. You're gonna let them in or try to help them out for a little bit. As much as you can. Again, you have to walk that line of not hurting your country too bad or not screwing your citizens, versus helping people, whatever the case is. But it's also, we did have a problem though too of some of the people coming in weren't like the educated doctors or lawyers or like the super educated individuals, right? They were low skilled workers, which again is
and so when it disrupts the natural flow of the workforce of your native population, because ideally you would want your teenagers and your young adults to take up a lot of those entry-level positions when they're young, gain experience, get a little more experience, get a better job, and then they're replaced by some new teenagers and people in their 20s. And all that gets disrupted if you're just letting in a bunch of, 25-year-old
people don't realize countries like
who want to work.
Yeah, countries like Norway, Sweden, these Scandinavian nations that are, have phenomenal social programs and are often kind of seen, or are seen as great nations that provide a lot for their people. Like when it comes to immigration, they don't let just anybody in. They're not like they want the top of the top. They don't want they want your neurosurgeons. They want your peak de la creme individual to come, whether it's from China, India, whatever they come from. They take their best.
Yeah, that's why the whole wave of the democratic socialists saying, hey, America needs to be more like Norway. It's like, hey man, Norway, these countries are small populations, like 5-6 million people. They're very tightly knit. They're almost entirely homogenous. The culture, they have one culture, one set of people. It's just night and day. You can't try to.
It is interesting seeing like
project Norway onto 350 million Americans.
Yeah, I've seen some of the images of Norway prisons. They look like hotels. I don't care. They look like dorm rooms. Yeah, they look like dorm rooms. Like it's a nice place to.
And they're probably all empty because, like, no one's committing any crime. Like they got their societies pretty much like everybody.
They're big on like rehabilitation. Like I saw, like they had a whole kitchen. They had like a nice room, a desk, computer. Like their prisons were like really nice looking. They're better than a lot of people's homes. I'm like, wow, they really got to set up there again because their population, the amount of resources they have versus their population, it just works out doing that in a country with 40, 50 million people would be tough, let alone 300 million people or 340, whatever America isn't, right? Completely different situation. But yeah. Good talk.
One more thing, everybody, check out the World Chess Championships have started. I'm a big chess player. The World Chess Championships. We're in game. Are you a Magnus Carlsen guy? I am I love Magnus. I'm a big Bobby Fischer guy and a big Mikhail Tal guy. But Magnus is technically the champ. He abdicated his throne, but
he's the GOAT though.
Right? Yeah. I can't say. I think Bobby's the GOAT because Bobby didn't have all these computers, man.
I've heard that argument too. I mean, just in terms of resume, the Magnus' resume for how long he's done it, how long he's been at the top.
Yeah,
like he's a thing. And there's also the Russian. What was his name? Garry Kasparov.
Yeah, Kasparov is definitely vying for maybe the GOAT. Old dude, Alekhine was champion for like 22 years.
A couple new Indian kids on the block, right? I was reading about them. I'm not sure if they're Sri Lankan or.
Well, this guy Gukesh is one of the guys in the championship right now. He's only 18. If he wins, he'll be the youngest.
Magnus in a game. I thought there's one that. What's name?
I don't think he did.
There's one with the sister too, and she's good too. But I think they're younger. They might be like 15. I was reading about it just I think last month. I remember.
Yeah, I don't think it's Gukesh. There's Gukesh. Man, there are a lot of Indians now.
Yeah,
like
really.
India has just exploded on the scene. There's like 5 crazy good Indian guys.
Ramesh Babu Pragananda.
Pragnanha, yeah. Pragnanha, he's the other. Yeah, he has a sister. They're both really good.
12th in
he's
the
super
world.
young too.
Yeah, he's super young. He's at 19. Yeah.
Yeah, but Gukesh is only 18. He's in the championship, and it's tied 1.5.
How much money do they make?
For the championship game, you get I think they said $100,000 per half point.
Wait, how many points can someone win?
Per half point. So they're going to play 14 games. So that's 14 potential points. So that's
so if you win like 7 of them, you just win $700K.
Yeah,
I don't know. Oh my god, I didn't know there was that much money in chess like that. What the hell?
The top guys in chess make bank. Yeah, I mean it's hard to. You got to be. But yeah, the top like 15, 20 guys in chess make a fair amount. I mean, there are a lot of tournaments too. This is the championship, but there are a lot of other tournaments, where you win like 25,000, 50,000 for winning.
I didn't know there was that much money in chess. Like I know obviously Magnus has sponsorships and some of the top guys will have. I don't know there was that much money, even the world champion. 100 a half point is nuts.
Yeah.
Where's the money coming from? Sponsors?
Sponsors.
Yeah.
Sponsors.
Like what? How many people are watching and who are? Maybe that more eyes.
Fair amount of people. The history of chess was, it used to be where before the organization FIDE popped up, it used to be the champion was sponsored. Like there was the champion, and then to challenge the champion for a championship match, you had to come up with a pot of money. So like the challengers would go around to like rich people and be like, hey, sponsor me, I can beat the champ. And then if he got a big enough pot of money that the champ was like, all right, that's big enough, let's play.
Good for them. Good for them. Get that money in chat. That's solid. What's your elo rating? You gonna be a pro?
I'm not pro level, but I'm over 2,000. I'm like 2,000, 2,100.
How much what do you need to be a grandmaster?
2,500.
You think you can get there?
No.
How do you?
Maybe. I mean, yeah, I'm not totally cross it off, but
yeah, but like
those last few 100 points like require.
So you have to go to like high level tournaments to win to clear those last few 100 points.
Crazy dedication, yeah.
Can you get them online, or is that all like in person tournaments, or?
No, you have to play in
person, right?
Yeah, in FIDE sanctioned matches.
Events. So they know you're not using a computer behind the screen. I find like online chess tournaments can't be a thing, right? With the way computers and the advanced.
Yeah, no, and that's it. See, I played poker for a living for like 4 or 5 years.
I was a big poker guy too. I used to live on PokerStars back in the day. Hey, help pay for
yeah.
I still do. Yeah, I was
and I was big, especially back in the heyday of the online poker. But that is the unfortunate thing with chess. You can't really. You can't really play for money online because the cheating is. Were you
on Full Tilt before Black Friday?
Oh yeah, yeah. I used to be on. I was on all of them: Full Tilt, Bodega.
I only got into it after. I only got into it after, just because I wasn't old enough, obviously, to play it. So I only got into after Black Friday.
And they shut everything down. Yeah,
the stories I hear of people making the amount of money they were at 18, 19, 20, 21.
Well, and so I would multi-table.
Yeah.
So I would play between I would play between 4 to 6 games at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So my record for one night was 7,500 hands.
It's a lot of hands. A lot of hands. You ever play a World Series of Poker 10K main event yet? That's on my bucket list.
World Series? No, I never did.
I got to do that once. I made a deep run on the Sunday Millie back in PokerStars. You know Sunday Millie? Yeah, made a deep run. That was fun.
I used to go out to Vegas, like 4 or 5 times a year. Bellagio was my favorite spot.
You study a lot?
I did study a lot. Yeah, studied a fair amount.
So you're full on pro for
2
years. Make it solid. What happened? Just you didn't want to study solvers anymore.
Honestly, like after a few years,
it's a tough way
it
to
just
make
felt robotic. Like I kind of you lose a lot of especially when you're multi-tabling like 4 or 6 games at a time. It's really more of just like computer reactions to just kind of stop being fun. I felt like I was like a test mouse in a lab, just pressing the green button for cheese. And I just wanted to go do some other things. Got back into like real estate and stuff. But
that's always I always say the best way, obviously, I think to play poker is be super rich and just play for fun. I think that'd be the best. If I was just like a super whale, be like one of those. Remember, I don't know if you ever watched that show, Guy Liberté. He's a Canadian Cirque du Soleil owner. So he's the guy. The story, if you want to know the story. So he's the guy who did the $1 million one drop. He set that tournament up. Well, the poker players put $1 million. He was doing that. But he's the guy when, again, you would know these names of like Phil Galfond, Phil Ivey, when they made a ton of their money online.
Yeah.
He was the whale. He was the guy buying it for a couple million when Full Tilt was giving him money just to play with. He's the whale. I think Phil Galfond probably took him for I think it was him or a couple of the pros. So I think he was down over like 20 to 30 million something online.
Yeah.
And it's got split amongst a lot of these pros. So,
well, it's a game where you can't survive without those people. It's like they say, if you sit down at a table, if after 5 minutes you can't tell who the mark is, you're the mark.
Yep, 100%. What I would say, hearing stories of the money that was being thrown around in those days, crazy. It seems like
yeah. I mean, I was never at that echelon. I was like the working class poker
grinder. Get the rake back. I hear you get the rake back. Hey, it's a grind.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good talk. Good talk, Pirate.
Yeah, excellent, man. Happy Thanksgiving, I suppose. I guess though, you guys don't.
Oh, wait. Base Kaz, what are your thoughts on the downfall of PC?
I just saw that. What are you?
I don't think it's a downfall. I don't know if there's downfall.
Is there a downfall?
I don't think so. I think they're doing good. Yeah, shout out PC, man. I still got a lot.
I haven't been on there much, so I guess you can count that as a downfall.
I've been on there much in a while too. So maybe downfall real. Me and Pirate have been there much. Maybe the downfall decline. I just think that maybe the growth stopped, but there's still great characters. Shout out Mars. Shout out Chill, Ron, Ox. A lot of great guys still there.
Yeah. I still get along with all those guys. I was in the that the PCL deal. That was fun. Mm-hmm. Although definitely a little tilted towards Mars.
It'd be like that. I just think sometimes you have YouTube channels that will surge and then you slow down, but they're still growing. They still put out the panel still a show that draws tons of viewers every day. Mm-hmm. Right. So I think they're doing their thing. Obviously you're just not going to grow at. You might have a month where a channel, you might add 10K subscribers, 5K. You might have another month where you only add 150. Right. Every month is not going to be great. So y'all think using Ticket was detrimental? I think Ticket brought a.
I'm a big Ticket fan.
Yeah, me too.
I never would have made it. Would have gotten to PC if it wasn't for Ticket. I came through the Ticket pipeline, so.
And Ticket definitely brings eyeballs, right? Without a doubt, I think Ticket brings a very interesting perspective. The way he talks basketball is different. You don't want people up there who all agree. So, I think he was a great addition when he was on there. Was losing Ticket detrimental? I mean, that's different. Some people will say yes, some people will say no. You know what I mean? That just really depends on who the viewer is, who the sponsors, whatever the case may be. It just really depends how you look at it, right?
They're still kicking. They're still going strong.
They're still kicking, going
Speaking
strong.
of YouTube channels, everybody sign up for Pirate and Meatfish. I got a new channel I'm starting up. It's going to be awesome entertainment. Pirate and Meatfish. Probably get you out.
What do you say? He wants to know, what do we think? Do we think losing Ticket was detrimental?
I think Ticket filled a niche that's hard to replace.
Yeah, I don't know if the word is detrimental. I just think it's losing Ticket was a change of pace. I think that was just a change of pace. Again, I think he filled the niche too. I think he filled a certain box, and they thought he was great for them. But I still think they're great without him too, right? So it's just it's just what it is.
Yeah, no, I think they'll be in there for the long haul. So
yeah,
I'll probably end up popping back up there sooner than later.
Pop in here, no.
Bunch of good guys.
No doubt. All right, chat. Do have to go now. Appreciate y'all. We'll be back. I gotta add Big Ox, Pirate, and Jalen to this. Do that for next week.
No, we'll figure out all the
we're gonna
the templates and stuff. Yeah.
No doubt. But yeah. All right, chat. See y'all next week. Make sure to tune in.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving. Stay safe. Eat that turkey. Throw some gravy on it. I hate cranberry sauce. Don't put cranberry on anything.
No, well, the cranberry is good if you're just a little bit on